Hey guys, Carlo here. This is going to be the first of a series of videos where we're going to be getting into sort of the foundation and like a mini dental MBA is how I envision this. So it's going to be a series of videos where we're just going to kind of get into like what is the foundation from a mindset perspective, tying together a lot of pieces that we've talked about, a lot of themes that have emerged through like the weekend wisdom, the weekly faxes, and all these other places. And how do we actually tie all this stuff together so that you can get it sort of in a more step-by-step approach? Because right now you'll find all these little pieces elsewhere in content, but I want to put it together in one place. There's really just one sort of systematic approach that I think makes the most sense. And from talking to clients all over the map, I think that this process will make the most sense in terms of just getting back to what is the foundation of how we build successful businesses and become successful dentists, not just financially, but in all areas of our life. So how do we actually do that? Today's video is going to be about taking control. In fact, that's the title of the video, Take Control. So we got to start with that as the first sort of foundational step. Why? Because a lot of times, actually most of the time when I talk to a new member who's going to be working with us, it's usually like they're in what I call the frustrated GP, solo GP practice, where everything is like conventionally successful. The financial side of it is like not terrible, but it's better than average. And they're just running, and can't seem to get that, how do I slow down the treadmill so that we can still make money, but I don't have to run so hard on the treadmill to keep things going. And it's how can we get the team to start to take control and the dentist to start to be able to focus more on what the dentist wants to do, which is usually dentistry, and then having actual time off, not time off where you're now doing the books and managing the practice on your days off, which is very, very common. So how do we actually do that? We have to start first by taking control. And we have to start even before that with why are we here? So the number one thing I want to get established first is your purpose, because your purpose is literally where everything starts. It's where your drive comes from. Like, never mind trying to motivate yourself. It's all about defining and really getting clear on what your purpose is. So I want to start with that. So how do you figure out what your purpose is? There's a very simple exercise that I have people do throughout workshops. It's part of our productivity secrets, but I'm going to just break it down for you right here so it's all in one place. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to visualize. We're going to make, what is your, what are your values? So I want to visualize what your values look like. Okay, so to do that, here's what we're going to do. This is going to be sort of your vision, okay? And we're going to break your vision down into multiple areas. And these areas are, the most common areas that people feel a value strain in their life, okay? So let's first start with the obvious, which is financial. Okay, so financially, what are the things financially that you value? What do you want to accomplish over your practice life over the next 3 to 5 years? And what does that really look like? And you have to get really clear on that. So if you were to list all the things to balance your financial values, what would those look like? So it might be, financial freedom. It might be never having to worry about money again, never having to say no to like reasonable purchases, never having to, delay a vacation because of finances, all that sort of thing, right? Never having to lose sleep at night because you can't make payroll on Thursday. Like and I've been in all these positions, by the way, so it's not, these are things that are very near and dear to my heart. So I understand exactly what that feels like. But you have this vision of what, financial, your financial goals would look like. So write those things down. Like, do this right now on a sheet of paper and just do this with me. Just write it out. So, financially, what are the things that matter to you? And once you have, 3 or 4 things listed, that's great. Let's move on to the next one. So let's get into now family. What's your vision for your family? Like, maybe you want to, your focus is, I want to be for me, I want to be, an amazing husband. I want to be an amazing dad to my daughter. And, looking beyond that, I, want to have a great relationship with my parents, a great relationship with my brother, my extended family, my nieces, nephews, and so on. And, just write all that out. Like, this is what's important to me about family. And then let's get into your physical health. So what's important to you about physical health? What do you value? Do you want to make sure you get to the gym, every other day, or do you want to work out every day? Or, what are your goals? Do you want to drop 30 pounds? Do you just want to be able to, play with your child and not be out of breath? And, it doesn't matter how aggressive your goals are. It just matters that you have goals that you're reaching towards. And I'm going to encourage you, set the bar a little higher, okay? Don't make it so that this is an easy thing to do and I could just like stumble into it, right? So for me, it's like I want to make sure I'm working out with a personal trainer 3 times a week. I want to make sure every single morning I have my morning routine in check. I start my day a certain way. I make sure I get 20 minutes of high intensity training in the morning. I get myself conditioned, I get myself ready to go, and I feel good. And then happiness things fall into this too. Like, once a quarter, I like to do something for me. I don't like to buy stupid shit, but I do like to do something for me. I have something on my list that's like, I kind of want that, but I'm going to earn it. You know what I mean? I'm going to sit there and let it sit there, and I'm going to put it up on my vision board, and I'm just going to wait till I achieve this, this goal, or I wait till, this quarter is up and we had the result we're looking for. Just have little wins for yourself. So maybe some things that are there under personal happiness that you want to do. Maybe it's, finally taking a vacation that you've, had on your list and you've been postponing. So there could be anything you want for your physical, including mental health there. What about spiritual? What about spiritual? Again, doesn't matter what spiritual denomination you are, or if any at all, but what are you doing for your own spiritual well-being? Let's take it right back to the very basics. How about meditation? Maybe that's something that, is important to you. Spending, 15, 20 minutes a day just getting close to, getting into yourself, getting into your universe, whatever that means to you. And I'll tell you something, a lot of people think that, well, who has time for that stuff? Look at billionaires, the habits of billionaires. If a billionaire earns, X amount of dollars per hour, but they'll spend, and most of them will spend 15, 20 minutes a day meditating, it tells you something. There's got to be something to it. So, don't discount this as, I don't really have time for any of this stuff. Think about what are your goals? Like, what do you actually want to achieve in this area? And then write it out, spell it out. Let's move into your legacy, let's say. So what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for with your patients? What do you want to be known for in your community? What do you want your name to be associated with? And if you start thinking about that now, then that will allow you down the road, it'll allow you to set things up. If you start thinking bigger picture today, you'll make decisions differently. It's like, if you have a vision to just kind of grow by 10% a year, you'll make certain choices. If you have a vision to, 10x your practice in 5 years or 10 years, you're going to make very different decisions. So the decision becomes very easy. It's like, is this going to add to my legacy or is it not? And you can, filter things a little bit more easily when you're thinking in bigger terms. So again, like I take it back to the 10x vision, which we talk a lot about in transformation. If you're going to be looking at making a massive impact in your practice over the time that we're looking at together, 5 to 10 years, then you're going to make different decisions now than you would if you just wanted incremental growth. So if you want to make massive impact, then you're going to be looking at these things from the standpoint, does this 10x my business, or does this incremental growth? And it's very, very easy to see the difference, right? Versus thinking small, it's like, will this help us grow? I'm not sure. Like if you're thinking 10% year over year, I just kind of want to do a little better than last year, it's hard to make decisions. It's hard to filter things. So you've got these 5 areas, okay? Let's take a look then at each of them, and you have for each of them a series of points that, again, the criteria was, what in each of these areas will you do, or do you want to do, to balance each of these in your life? Because I can guarantee some of these areas are in strain for you. You want to have better relationship with family. You want to spend more time with your kids. You want to do certain things. Financially, you might not be meeting your goals and so on. Like usually if you're really excelling, by the way, if you're really excelling in one of these, one or two or more of them are suffering. Frequently what you see is a person has great family relationships and financially they're struggling. Or financially they're doing great and then family and physical health is struggling. So we want to try to level all these things and balance them. So once you have your points, what you do now is you pick the one of each of these categories that has the greatest impact, that will have the greatest impact, okay? Excuse me, and that's the one that you do now. You get it on the calendar, you figure out what it is. So let's say, financially, the number one thing we need to do is we need to start saving money. Well, let's automate the process. Let's do something. Let's put something aside. Like if you just automated a process financially, all of a sudden now your finances will start to take care of themselves. It would start to happen, okay? You create a process. We taught this at our Wealth Mastery seminar. So let's look at family, okay? So let's say you have all this strain in your family. You want to spend more time with your family, you spend more time with your kids. You're not present when you're at home because you're still thinking about work, you're still checking emails, your phone's pinging you all the time. How do you actually create that? So the way to do that is, again, look at all the things under family that you could do to balance that out. And what's the one thing? The one thing for me is making sure that when I'm home, I'm present. So I have no distractions on weekends, absolutely zero. That's the one thing for me. There's lots of things that I want to do that are on my list that I have on the list, but the number one thing is to make sure zero distractions on weekends. You literally cannot find me on a weekend. It's impossible to do unless you know where I live and you knock on my door, and even still I might not answer it. So it's really, really hard to disrupt, okay? So you have to have the one thing for each area that's most impactful. And if you focus on that one thing, then what it does is, the criteria for the one thing, by the way, is what of these items under that particular value would be the most impactful, would have the greatest momentum. Like if you put a unit of energy into each one of those by doing this one thing, it would actually be multiplied, okay? So that's why I say for me, it's making sure that weekends are absolutely protected. And if I do that, I know that I will never have to worry about any of the other items because things will just work themselves out. It's the most impactful thing I can do. By the way, if you want further reference on that, this particular book, Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, you've probably seen it. Great book. It just kind of goes into detail about the one thing and all of that strategy. So this is one of those things you can kind of apply throughout life. So again, pick the thing with the greatest impact and do it. To do it, get it on the calendar. Automate the process. Make it so, right? So how do I not get distracted on weekends? I have a very, very clear, rigid, disciplined calendar. I get all my stuff done between Monday and Friday, and there's nothing on my calendar on the weekends that isn't personal. That's the only way to do it, okay? You have to be very, very intentional about your calendar. Again, here's why. Let's take a look at this. So when it comes to energy, we only have so much, okay? So if this is, let's say you have 10 things that you want to do, and you're working on all those 10 things equally. Here's what happens, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? And each of these 10 things get 1 unit of energy. Well, what if I took all these 10 things and I put all 10 units into one thing? What happens? Right, so you can't be good at 10 things at once. By the way, multitasking is a complete BS myth, okay? Your brain is no good at switching from task to task. And that just doesn't work. You need to pick the one thing and focus your energy on that, and you will get that thing to happen. So when it comes to energy, we only have so much of it. To choose wisely where you're going to spend it. That's why I say pick the one thing that will have the most impact, and you'll see progress. If you haven't seen progress in an area before, it's because of this. It's because you're trying to do 5 things in one area versus focusing on the one thing that will have the greatest impact and putting all your energy into that, right? It's like for me, if I want to make sure I'm home for dinner every single night, typically I am, but if that was a strain for me, then I want to be home for dinner every night. I want to make sure I have, no calls in the evening. I want to make sure I have no, there'd be like 10 things that I would want to do, but I would always be failing a little bit in each one of them. And that would just never help me. Like, I never feel like I actually arrived at the goal. So I have all these little things and I'm diverting my energy, but I can't do any of them well because there's so many of them. Whereas for me, like I was getting back to the family example, if I just say, hey, I am protecting my weekends by making sure that my week is rigidly disciplined, then it happens because I'm diverting all my energy there, okay? So motivation, to be honest with you, is complete BS. You need to be doing the right things and then do the right thing now, okay? So this should, like, most people have this like long task list, okay? And it usually comes because of just stuff that's thrown at them, okay? So going back to this, again, if you took all of these things and you put them all on a list of things I want to do, well, how are you going to do it? Because you're just creating this. That's why I'm saying take this, pick the one thing from each one that is the most important and impactful, and then you take that and you make it like so, right? So you have a focus in that area that you're working on. And then, make sure you're doing the right thing. So how do I filter a task list? Okay, so I always have, like you always have, a list of things that land on my desk. Well, they don't land on my desk anymore, but this is the case. There's always a list of things that need to get done. And so this list of things appears in some fashion. And so you have, whatever, at the end of every day, you check your email, you catch up with your team leads and whatever, and you have this list of things. Well, you got to filter this because if you start doing all this stuff, again, previous example, you're just diverting energy to all these things and you're not getting anything done. So what you need to do is take this list and filter it, okay? We're going to have this filter. Do, delegate, or kill. 3 buckets. Everything from your to-do list goes in those buckets. If I can, first of all, the first question is if I don't do this, what's the consequence? If I just kill it, what will happen? And all of a sudden you'll see that like 2 or 3 items just like, we don't need to do that. It's not important. It's not relevant to our goal. And so you can just kill them right out of the gate. You never even had to waste time on them. Then the rest of these, what could I delegate? Especially what can I pay someone $20, $30 an hour to do for me rather than me burning my own time, right? My time bills out chairside at about $1,400 an hour. My time outside of chair time when I'm working on other businesses bills out even higher than that. Why do I want to be doing something a $30 an hour employee could do? And I could just get them to do it. So again, delegate tasks, right? Well, this one thing left now is the thing I got to do. So this goes on my list, and I do that. But you see, you can take this whole list. Most people do is they take all this shit and they put it on a list, and then they start at the top and they start checking things off the list, like a to-do list, right? That is the worst way to do it, okay? First of all, filter the list, okay? Then make it a process whereby whatever hits your list, okay? So let's say now out of the end of a week, you have 5 items that are now on your list. Guess what I do with this list? I look at the list and I pick what? The one thing that's the most important on this list. So if I'm sitting down now, because a lot of you guys have this sort of setup, right? You're working 3 days and 2 days on the business, or 4 days and 1 day on the business. And that 1 or 2 days you have on the business, you have this giant freaking task list facing you, and it's like, I don't know where to start. I can never get caught up, because again, you're trying to put all your energy into all this crap. First of all, you need to do most of it. Second of all, you're not focusing. What is the most important thing on here that if I get this done, blows away everything else? Like if I put my energy into just this one thing and I get it done, what's the most valuable thing that I can do? And this is what you got to focus on. So this is what I do. I had this list of things on I keep actually a Word document, and I keep an active Word document. It's like I keep it in Dropbox. You can use Google Drive or whatever, so it's everywhere I want to see it. If I pull up my laptop, I pull up my desktop computer, I have it there, just the same document everywhere. And guess what? The first thing I have, values, right? I look at my values and goals every single day. And that's just like, it's everywhere, okay? Then on there is a list of tasks. So bullet point list of tasks. And every night, because you plan tomorrow today, okay? Just remember that, plan tomorrow today. Doesn't matter what you're doing tomorrow, plan it today, because what happens is you get to harness the power of the subconscious mind to start pulling in solutions and ideas for tomorrow when it's still today. Okay, very, very important thing to do. So if I'm going to go into a planning day tomorrow, like it's my 1 or 2 days out of the clinic and I've got time to work on the business, I'm going to take my whole list and I'm going to look at what's the most important thing. First of all, this whole list has times beside it, okay? So this might say 30, 60, 180. This is just minutes, how long I expect this task is going to take. Okay, this one might be 30 again, this one might be 20. So I know that I need this much time to get these tasks done. And this list might be very long, maybe 2 pages, 3 pages. But what I do is I scan this list and I look at what's the most important thing that I could do on this list right now that has the most impact, okay? Maybe it's, finally creating and launching this new marketing thing. Maybe it's whatever it may be for you that's the most valuable thing. You do that first, okay? So you reorder the list and you take this and you put it here. You take this and you put it here, and then maybe I'll do that. So I know that I have this much time and this is exactly what I'm getting done. And I'm doing the most impactful things first. And then you know what happens? Is a month down the line, you go back at this list and you see these couple of tasks that are just down at the bottom. They never made it to become the most important thing. And you go back to this filter, like, do I need to do this? What if I just didn't do it? And you're going to end up killing a couple. And so this list becomes, instead of just a crappy to-do list, which is what most people live by, and they end up, banging out little tasks. It never amounts to anything, and you're always frustrated because I can't get any momentum. It's because you're doing the wrong thing, right? Do the most important thing, kill whatever you need to do, delegate the rest, and then watch what happens, right? Watch what happens to your productivity. Now you can get more and more done with less and less time, right? So it's just like I said in the clinic, like I told you guys the story of when I went from 4 days to 3 days to 2 days. I didn't change anything. I just shrunk it, shoved it all in, and got more and more efficient because I was just wasting time doing the wrong things. Got more efficient with team, got more efficient with systems, right? So again, if it's yours, it goes on the list has times, and you sort that list by the most important thing, and you plan this the night before. So if Friday is my day to work on the practice, Thursday night, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, and I'm going to do this process. So I know exactly what I'm doing when I get up in the morning. I'm going to get to work, and I'm going to get it done. And now one more thing I want to talk about is gratitude is something that is absolutely critical in this process. So when you have your values straightened out, one of the things that we got to make sure that we're doing is, so I like to use this gratitude journal, this paperback journal, okay? A lot of you guys have seen this, and I got it for a lot of you guys in a couple of our mastermind groups. So the gratitude journal really has a couple of really important points in it. First of all, every page is exactly the same. And it goes through, you can get these on Amazon, by the way. It goes through, like the first line is, you start with it in the morning, okay? Today I'm thankful for. What would make today amazing? Affirmations. So I am, okay? What this is really important about, what's really important about this is that you do this twice a day. Like morning when you get out of bed, you do the first part. At night, you do the second part. Amazing things that happened today. What could I have done to make my day better for myself or someone else? And then what am I looking forward to tomorrow? So this is like twice a day journaling opportunity, okay? And the important thing about it is the affirmations, you're actually going to use your values, your goals from here as your affirmations, okay? I am financially free. I am an amazing husband and father. I am physically fit. I am whatever you want it to be. And you are those things in the journal. And you do that every single day. You review this twice a day, morning and night. So take this, draw it out, take a picture, put it in here. Stick it right in the front cover, okay? Mine's sitting right in the front cover. And every time I open this, I review, what are my goals? What is my vision for my life? What is my life vision? So I see this twice a day. Then you go through this, and again, what's the affirmation about? The affirmation is about, and again, stated in the positive, right? I am these things, because that is what triggers the subconscious mind to actually turn you into those things, okay? I won't get into the whole metaphysical part of it, but it just, your brain will go to work pulling in all the raw material that you need to solve problems. That's why, again, we plan tomorrow today, right? Because it pulls in all the things you need to get better and better and better. And a lot of times you'll get up in the morning and you were thinking about something at night, and you didn't have the solution. And you wake up in the morning and you're taking a shower and you have 5 ideas come in your head. Now you have the thing solved. That's the subconscious mind. That's planting the seed the night before, okay? So the journal itself is critically important. Gratitude literally changes your life if done consistently. Affirmations, again, brings you back to this on a very regular basis. So you got to review your vision and goals daily. So I just want to make sure that you know that, because we're going to, we get into a lot of, systems and tactics and stuff, but I want you to remember, like, this is one of the most important parts of that. Okay, so we left off, we're just talking about how do you run that to-do list, okay? So we've got your list of what you're going to do, timed out, ordered out by most important than one thing, and we're always scanning for for do, delegate, kill. If there's anything on here that we can delegate or we should kill. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get focused. Focus is the number one thing that I swear it just kills everything if you don't have it right, okay? So you have to have rules. You have to have rules. You have to have rules for email. You have to have rules for phone. You have to have rules for distractions in general. You have to limit access, okay? So to take control, you must limit access to you, okay? Otherwise, you're just like going to be reacting to shit that's bombarding you all the time, and you're not going to be in control. Like, who's in control of your life right now, right? If you don't assert control, if you don't have a plan, you're going to be part of someone else's plan, okay? So the most intentional person always wins. I want you to stop reacting to things that are bombarding you, and I want you to build the castle around you, especially around your brain, around your mental space, right? What you let into your brain. Literally build the castle. Imagine it with the walls, the moat, the drawbridge. Nothing gets in there when you're working, okay? So on the day when you're, working on the business, nothing gets in. Like, you're just like super productive. And on the days when you're in the clinic, same thing. Focus on getting stuff done. This is why people are so inefficient. Like, if your billing per hour is less than $1,000 an hour, if I followed you around with a video camera, I could find for you 2 hours a day probably of just wasted time that you could see people and do more, help more people. So first off, let's look at email, okay? The number one thing that people waste time on, I think. Email, social media, all that stuff, okay? So I'm going to say, first of all, take your social media and just delete that shit. Get it off your phone. Don't look at it. Don't deal with it. If you really want to look, do it on the weekend. Like, you dabble at it when you're bored on the weekend, but do not mess with it during the week when you're working, okay? When you're trying to be productive, because it will just kill you. Email, okay? 1 time per day. That's it. 1 time a day. And I would even argue that's too much, okay? But that's your limit. Like, 1 time a day is all you need for email. And so you need to train people on how to reach you. With someone, like, if you get an email and it like pings your phone, that's insane, first of all, for lots of reasons, because it's hooking you on instant gratification, which, by the way, is the whole basis of social media. So get off of that. But if your email pings your phone, you look at it right away and you're like, oh my God, I respond to it. What does it teach the people who are emailing you? Oh, if I email them, I can get a response right away. And you don't want that, because what happens is, see, with distractions, every time you're distracted, okay, this has been scientifically studied. Every time you're distracted, if you were like deeply focused on something and you were working on a task, right? You had all your energy in the one task and you're working away. Every time you're distracted and pulled off that task, it takes you 23 minutes to get back to the same depth of focus. If you're distracted 3 times in an hour, you got nothing done. This is how a day goes by and you're like, I don't know what I did today. The answer is nothing, because all you did was get distracted all day. So if your phone is out, if your email is pinging your phone all day, then you're just literally wasting time. You're not going to get anything done. Phone, same thing. Airplane mode, upside down, in a drawer. Don't look at it when you're working. Like, if you're working, do not touch. Do not touch. Even when I'm in the clinic, I don't touch my phone unless I know I have time and I can't fill it and there's nothing else I can do and there's no team member I can motivate and like I've done everything, okay? You know how many times that happens? 0. I don't look at my phone during the day. You don't need to. It's not critical. My family knows if there's an emergency, urgency, or otherwise, call the office. They will get me, right? Because I'm not going to check my phone. I don't have it in my pocket. Like, get it out of your pocket. Focus on the patient. Focus on the patient experience. That's the only thing that matters in your practice. What does the patient in front of me think? And will they have a wow experience today? Everything else is bullshit. Get it out of your head. So phone, again, like very, very limited. People know they call me, I won't answer the phone. I do not answer the phone when people call. I will select time during the day when I will answer or return messages or whatever. And frequently it's like, I'll give it to my assistant to say, hey, this person called, can you call them back and tell them this? Because I'm protecting my time, right? Again, if you don't have a plan, you'll become part of someone else's plan. If you allow yourself to be bombarded, then all you're going to do all day is react. It's like the first thing you do, you pick up your phone and you check your email in the middle of the day, like in the morning when you get out of bed. The worst thing you could do is that, because if you get up out of bed and you check your email right away, then all of a sudden it's like you got all these things in there that people have put in your world that now throw you off balance, and you're just reacting. How about if you start your day and you get your stuff together first? Right? You do some of the things in your values, like you exercise, you get your mind straight, you do your morning routine, and you start your day right. Now you're ready for all that stuff when it comes around, whenever your once a day for email checking is, okay? So again, who's in control of your life right now? Like, be honest, answer that question. Like, who is in control? Who do you let into your life to distract you? So just distractions in general. So right now I'm in my elite practice offices, okay? And I have a small office, you can see, overlooking the busiest road in town. And when I'm in here, this is work time for me. I don't allow anybody to distract me. There are other people working in this space, and everyone knows if my door is shut, absolutely under no circumstances do you knock, walk in, or anything, because I don't want to be disturbed. There's just a standing rule. And I will literally wig out on anyone who disturbs me when I'm working, because I know it just cost me 23 minutes. And it's true. Try it for yourself. Okay? It's exactly what happens. Nobody disturbs you when you're working. So you have to just get really like militant with that. And if, by the way, if you can't focus in your place, like I could work from home today, but I can't focus there because like there's just distractions. There's stuff going on. There's like temptation to do stuff. There's, you know, oh, I'll just stop and have a snack, or, you know, I'll just go for a walk, or whatever. Like, you have this temptation to be distracted. Don't allow those options. Take away all of that stuff. When I come here, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing in this room but my desk and the work I'm doing right now. So there's like, it's even impossible to get distracted unless your mind starts to wander. And for that, that's what meditation is so important for. It's not just a spiritual thing. It actually trains your brain. I'm going to do a video about this on its own because it's critically important. It actually trains your brain to bat away distractions. Like those fleeting thoughts that you have during the day that like you're thinking, and all of a sudden you just like go off in Netherlands. You know, when your consciousness starts whisking away on you, that's a weak muscle when it comes to focus. And meditation fixes that over time. So we'll get into that in a different video, but you know, just realize that distractions screw you over big time. They cost you tons and tons of productivity. Another big one is TV. Like, I haven't watched TV in 5 years at home. I actually canceled my cable a long time ago, and we just don't watch TV. Like, my daughter will watch some of her shows that she likes to watch occasionally. They show half an hour after dinner kind of thing. But we as a family never sit down and watch TV. I have not watched TV in 5 years unless I'm at someone else's house and they have it on. You know what? Because if it's critical, if it's something that's really, really important, I'll know about it. Someone will tell me, right? Someone will say, hey, did you hear? It'll come to you a different way. You don't need to watch the news. The news is ridiculous. Like, you know, you want to try to protect your mindset. You want to try to not be reactive. You want to take control, and then you're going to go watch a half an hour of CNN. Well, tell me how you feel after you're done watching that half an hour. Tell me how you feel. And then you're going to go from there, and you're going to be like focusing on your vision and growing your practice. And like, how? Like, that doesn't, you can't let that stuff in. Again, remember the castle, the walls. That's what's important. You got to protect what comes in, okay? Only approved, you know, travelers come in. Like, you're going to let something into your castle, you literally have to be like, you have to be deliberate about it. Like, you're literally sending the messenger who's going to read from the scroll to invite this person into the castle. Like, that's how formal I'm talking. Like, do not let anything like, oh, okay, well, you know what, I'm ahead of schedule, so I'll take this distraction. No distractions. Like, become a person who's good with saying no, okay? Like, I was always a yes, yes, yes person, and you know, anytime anybody needed anything, wanted anything, whatever, oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. Now I'm more like the no person. It's every time something comes up, hey, you wanna go out for dinner? No. Do you wanna, you know, go grab lunch? No. Do you wanna, hey, can I have a call with you and we can, I just wanna pick your brain about some stuff? No. No. No, 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 no. Because if I do that, I get nothing done. I can't serve my patients. I can't serve my clients. I can't even come close to achieving the things that were on this page in my life if I'm being distracted. So again, it all comes back to this. This is the purpose, right? This is the reason why you do what you do. This is where your drive comes from. So you gotta be really, really clear about your vision for your life. And from here, everything else happens, okay? All those other systems. So get clear on this. Go into gratitude. Realize, you know, so use a gratitude journal. Use this like paperback journal. This is really cheap to get on Amazon or anything like it, by the way. It doesn't have to be exactly this one. But it's a very, very straightforward, you know, process to follow. And so you journal, you use affirmations, you review your vision and goals every day. And then you realize that you only have so much energy. So you can't put it into 100 things, you put it into one, maybe two really key things today. And you get that done. Like if I'm in the clinic, it's just patient experience. All of my energy goes into that, okay? Because that's the main thing today. If I'm working on the practice, it's the one main thing at a time that I'm going to do until I run out of time. And I've pre-scheduled the time. I know how much time I'm going to spend on the thing. Then I'm going to take my task lists, I'm going to order them. We're going to do the do, delegate, kill process. And if it's mine, it's going to go on the list, which I'm going to plan tomorrow today. And I'm going to reorder it so I know exactly what the number one thing is. I'm going to focus on that. Then I'm going to eliminate all distractions when I'm getting stuff done. And I'm going to be in control that way, not in reactive mode. Then I'm in control of my life, okay? So that's the system for getting control, okay? So I hope you found this useful. From here, we're going to move into the next segment. So we're going to get more and more strategic and tactical about all aspects of building your practice and your ideal life.